We are now turning our attention to our Android Basics segment, and we continue with looking at the system settings. And as mentioned at the beginning of the show, we're now looking at the digital well-being segment. First of all, though, I want to preview this with a little preamble of this segment, and I pre-recorded a little segment on this, and so we're now putting that in, and then we'll talk about it. Here is that preamble. I am now in the system settings and will now navigate my way to the digital well-being. Here's what I'm talking about.
Digital well-being in parental controls, screen time, app timers, bedtime schedules.
I will go ahead and tap here to activate.
Digital well-being. Digital well-being in parental controls, out of list. Showing items 1 to 10 of 20.
We are now on the screen with all the items found within the digital well-being. Near the top, we've got a couple buttons. On the top right corner, we've got more options. And to the left of that, we have beta. Here's what I'm talking about.
More options, button.
More options. And to the left of that,
Beta, button.
beta button. If I tap on that beta button,
You're in the beta program. Experimental features are available to beta testers only.
and that's all that there is on this page. And there's a learn more to the right of that and a close to the right of the learn more. Here's what I'm talking about.
Learn more, button.
And
Close, button.
close button. I'll tap here to close.
Digital well-being. Beta, button.
And now to the right of that, like I said earlier, is the more options. And I'll move my finger right.
More options, button.
We got more options. I tap.
Pop-up window. Send feedback, in list.
And tapping on that, we have the following. The first item is send feedback. Below that, we've got
Beta program.
beta program. So if you're not in the beta, you tap here, it will take you to the beta store, or rather the Play Store, where you could choose to opt in, or if you're already enrolled in the beta and you want to opt out, there's the opt out or leave beta at the bottom of it. If you're not in the beta, however, there'll be the join beta. Below that, we've got
Manage your data.
manage your data. Next,
Privacy policy.
privacy policy and
Terms of service.
terms of settings or service. And the last item below that will be the open licenses,
Open source licenses.
open source licenses. That's the last item in that more options. I will now go back to the previous screen so we could see the other items that are found here on the main UI of this digital well-being.
Digital well-being. More options, button, out of list.
We're back to the main UI and we hear more options. Moving my finger down,
Your digital well-being tools, in list.
and this is a header or heading that says your digital tools. And below that, we've got,
Phone used for 2 hours, 21 minutes today.
we heard phone used for 2 hours, 21 minutes today, meaning that if you put it all together in one stretch, I would have used my phone for 2 hours, 21 minutes for today. If I move my finger down, we'll interact with the dashboard.
Go to dashboard.
Go to dashboard. Tapping on that, though, is going to show me the apps that I spend most of my time on that accumulated to the 2 hour, 21 minutes use. Below that, we've got,
37, unlocks.
it says I have 37 unlocks. In other words, throughout today, I have unlocked my phone 37 times. Wow, no wonder it's called digital well-being. I'm recording this though at like 10 o'clock in the night, and so for the whole day, I have unlocked this phone 37 times. Let's keep going. Next,
93, notifications.
I had a total of 93 notifications for today, and below that,
Ways to disconnect, heading.
we now engage a heading that says ways to disconnect. In other words, ways that we could stay offline or leave the phone alone and disconnect from the connected world. Let's now go through and see the items that we have here. The first item that we have here below that ways to disconnect heading will be
Dashboard. No timer set.
Dashboard. No timer set. In other words, if I tap here, it will show me the apps and I could set times for them. Hey, I only want to use it for so minutes. And after that, you can lock me out from that app. That's what that is. And tapping here will show you all the apps that you can choose to set a time limit for. Below that, we've got
Bedtime Mode. Tap to set up.
Bedtime Mode. Tap to set up. If you tap on this, it will take you to where you can either customize or accept the defaults, which begins at 11 o'clock. I'll tap here so you'll see what I'm talking about.
Bedtime Mode. Sleep better with Bedtime Mode. Out of list.
There we heard it. Sleep better with Bedtime Mode.
Silence your phone, dim the wallpaper, and change the screen to black and white at bedtime.
And down toward the middle, about 3 inches on the right side, we have a toggle switch there, which is on by default.
Do not disturb for Bedtime Mode. Only calls from starred contacts, repeat callers, and alarms can reach you. Switch on.
And that is on because I have previously customized a bedtime mode. Mine starts at 10 o'clock. And below that,
Customize your Do Not Disturb profile.
you can now tap here to customize. If you are someone that goes to bed early, you could tap here to customize and choose to start your bedtime mode early. If you go to bed at 9 o'clock, you can choose to have it start at 9 o'clock instead of the default, which is 11 o'clock. If you do not tap here to choose that, then at the bottom right is the next button. And to the left of that will be the cancel button. Here's what I'm talking about.
Next button.
And to the left of that,
Cancel button.
cancel button. Let's go ahead and tap on that next.
Next button. Set up Bedtime Mode.
We heard set up bedtime mode. Putting my finger near the top of the screen, we hear the following.
Set up Bedtime Mode.
We heard set up bedtime mode. And below that, we have a couple buttons, one to the left and one to the right. The one at the left edge of the phone is your
Start 11 p.m.
start time. Like I said, that's a default 11 p.m. And to the right of that is the ending time.
End 7 a.m.
7 a.m. Moving my finger down though, we got the following.
8 hours.
That's 8 hours of sleep. Move my finger down.
Sunday. Checkbox checked.
And we have those days that are checked. We've got Sunday because that means the following day is going to be Monday. So you want to go to bed early so you can wake up and go to work. And so all those days are checked from Sunday,
Monday. Checkbox checked.
Tuesday,
Checkbox checked.
Wednesday,
Checkbox checked.
Thursday,
Checkbox checked.
Friday,
Checkbox checked.
and Saturday, another party day.
Checkbox checked.
Now, if you don't work on Saturdays, you may want to uncheck Friday because it's a party time, right? Now, below we got,
Use a schedule. Turns on at 11 p.m. Checked.
and below that we have,
Turn on while charging. Turns on while charging after 9 p.m. Not checked.
so in other words, if you want it to start at 9 p.m., if you put your phone on the charger at 9 p.m., you could check this box and that will start the Do Not Disturb. If not, it will kick in at 11 p.m. or at the customized time that you have chosen. Like mine, I chose 10 o'clock. At the bottom left, we got
Not now button.
Not Now, or to the right of that,
Done button.
we have the Done button. If I tap Done, then I am accepting the default that my bedtime mode will start at 11 o'clock. I'm not doing that, and I'm going to go back by doing the back gesture.
Sleep better with Bedtime Mode.
Back again.
Digital Wellbeing. Bedtime Mode. Tap to set up, in list.
I'm back to the UI, menu UI, and there is the Bedtime Mode. Tap to set up. Moving though, below that we've got the following.
Focus Mode. Tap to set up.
Focus Mode. Tap to set up. And what this means is that if you are at work and you want to be focused, you want to set it up to where, say, hey, from X time to X time, I want to be focused. So I don't want Telegram or whatever apps to disrupt me while I'm at work. And if you tap here, it will show you the apps that you could check to say, hey, I'm going to be focused. Here's what I'm talking about.
Focus Mode. Navigate up, button.
We hear Focus Mode navigate up, and that's the button on the top left corner. On the top right corner, we have the more options.
More options, button.
And frankly, there's nothing in there. If you tap on that, then there's something like send feedback or something like that. Now, below that, we have...
When you need time to focus, you can pause distracting apps and hide their notifications, in list.
Okay.
Set a schedule, disabled.
We hear set a schedule is disabled. Next.
To use Focus Mode, select distracting apps below, button, disabled.
It's also disabled because I haven't checked any of the apps here. I'm going to scroll down. Now we have a heading that says
Select distracting apps, heading.
Select distracting apps. And below that are all your apps. For example,
Messages, checkbox, not checked.
Messages is not checked.
Fairmail, checkbox, not checked.
Fairmail, not checked.
Gmail, checkbox, not checked.
Gmail, not checked.
Keep notes, checkbox, not checked.
And on and on and on. And at the bottom, you have a button that says show all X number of apps. That is, in my case, it will say like show all 300 apps or 300 plus whatever apps. And you can choose the ones that you want to not get distracted by. Let's go back to the previous screen.
Digital Wellbeing. Focus Mode. Tap to set up, in list. Showing items 1 to 15 of 35.
Below that now we have a heading that says
Reduce interruptions, heading.
Reduce interruptions, heading. And now let's look below that. These are the items that we find below that reduced disruptions.
Manage notifications.
Manage notifications. That is, if you tap here, you could go choose what notifications you would like to see and which ones you wouldn't like to see. Below that, we've got
Do not disturb.
We have that do not disturb again, and you can go in here and customize it. Next,
Flip to shish, on.
we have the flip to shish, and that is on. So for instance, if my phone rings and I flip it, it should just silence it. Next,
Heads up, tap to set up.
we have something here called heads up. Tap to set up. In other words, if you tap on here, it will take you to where you would be told to be aware of your surroundings when you're walking outside. Let's go ahead and open this up so you see what I'm talking about.
Heads up. Watch your step with heads up, out of list.
We heard watch your steps with heads up.
If you're walking while using your phone, get a reminder to focus on what's around you. Use with caution. Heads up doesn't replace paying attention.
And at the bottom right, we have the next button.
Next, button.
Tap.
Heads up needs to send you notifications and know when you're walking outside.
And moving my finger down.
Physical activity. This lets heads up know when you're walking. Checkbox, checked, disabled.
Below that,
Notifications. This lets heads up send you notifications when you're walking. Checkbox, checked, disabled.
below that,
Location optional. This lets heads up know when you're outdoors. On the next two screens, select while using the app greater than allow all the time. Checkbox, not checked.
So in other words, if I check this box and I tap the next, then it'll ask me how I want my location to be observed. I want it precise, which is the default, but do I want it all of the time or only when I'm using the app? And at the bottom,
Next, button.
we have the next button. I'm not going to continue with this because it's self-explanatory, and you can go in here and see what that is because that will be the last part, and you'll just tap on the done button. I'm going to go back now to the main UI where we came from.
Watch your step with heads up.
Back again.
Digital well-being. Heads up. Tap to set up in list.
And we're back to the main UI and on heads up. Next item below that though, we've got
Show icon in the app list. Switch off.
show the icon in the apps list. It's not checked.
Parental controls. You set up family link parental controls for one child or teen in your family group.
We come across one item here that says parental control, and it says that I do have one child or teen in my parental control. And below that will tell you the name of the kid. And at the bottom of that will be add a child.
Set up parental controls for another child button.
Set up parental control for another child. And that's the end of that whole idea of the digital well-being. I will now hand you over to the podcast crew as we reflect on these items and talk about them. And now that we've done with it, let's talk about this segment, guys. So the first item here is about the phone use. And then there's an item below that says the dashboard, where it tells you, hey, you've used your phone for X minutes today. And then the dashboard, when you tap on that, gives you like a chart of how many minutes you spend on this app and how many minutes you spend on this other app. What do you guys think about this feature? Does it make you feel like you kind of been using your phone too much or not using your phone enough? Mine, as you can hear, I had 2 hours, 21 minutes or something like that on that phone for the total day by the time I did that recording.
Yeah, my average was like 350, 3 hours and 50 minutes, which I was honestly, I thought it would be a lot higher than that because I use my phone for everything. Like I barely use my computer, so I was pretty surprised that it was that low. But yeah, it's an interesting feature. I've never taken advantage of it as far as like going in there and setting like, which is a good thing. If you feel like you spend too much time on a certain app or a certain category, like you can say, only let me use social media apps for X number of minutes a day, or only let me use shopping apps for this number of minutes a day. You can kind of limit yourself, but I've always kind of seen it as like, you're still at the end of the day when it says, you've reached your limit, if you want to keep going, you're going to disable it and keep going. So I've never really like gone into the trouble of like setting it up or anything, but it's, it's one of the things you accept when you set up your phone, or I guess everybody doesn't accept it, but I do. So it's up and running and it keeps track of everything. So I can go in and look and get insights if I want, which is good.
I suppose it might be useful if you wanted to know what used your battery most, but presumably that would be in the battery section anyway, wouldn't it? So I don't know, for me it's like having a really annoying parental kind of figure in your pocket. I would never set timers for myself or anything like that. I'm a grown up. I don't need that.
Some people do like try to cut back on certain things though, and it's nice to have that reminder. Like maybe you don't realize, maybe you're like, I think 2 hours a day is too much on social media, and you don't realize that you've been on there that long, and then you kind of want that reminder. Okay, maybe I should do something else with my life. So, but yeah, at the end of the day, you're a grown up. You make your own decisions.
Maybe if you've got kids, maybe then okay, but otherwise, I don't know. It's a bit Big Brothery, isn't it?
Yeah, like I kind of sit in the same place as John. I thought I use my phone more than I do, which is surprising. So I'm sitting like just under 5 hours. But I'm also kind of like feeling like, why would I want to set those timers? Like it almost feels like I'm being creeped on, but yet at the same time, not. Like it's a really weird concept, but it's also like I also get why they have it, because some people need that extra control. Because we all know that our phones emit the blue light, which is scientifically proven to boost our dopamine levels. So looking at that, it's easier to become addicted. And having stuff like the digital well-being, we can actually help control that. So I kind of understand the purpose, but I just find it kind of stupid.
Yeah, it's just another thing to track. People like tracking fitness, tracking sleep. Some people say, I know if I slept well, why do I need to track that? But other
Yeah, I mean,
people want that data. So it just depends on the person.
I think tracking something like your sleep, that's one thing, but timers saying, oh, you've done enough on the social net. No, stop it. It's like someone constantly looking over your shoulder, when you're in the
The-
middle of oh man, micromanagement.
The funny thing is you can do like certain settings to like gently like nudge you away from it. Like you can set it to like if I've gone over my limit, like make the screen black and white. Obviously this doesn't apply to us, but like a person's gonna be looking through Instagram and oh man, it just went black and white. I can't do this anymore. I better put it away for the night. It's funny.
Yeah, so here's how I
Bizarre.
look at it, though. It's not necessarily because they want to track you, but some people really have an addiction with the phone. I see it all the time. And so I think the whole idea is to kind of, hey, maybe you need to do something else. So maybe the little time they have, even people at work, you jump on that phone, blah, blah, blah. And frankly, I think I would rather have something about my digital well-being. For example, I don't think I want my sleep to be tracked, to be honest with you. If I'm going to have a problem with something, I think that the last one I would want to use would be a sleep tracker. I don't want you to know how I sleep, what happens when I'm sleeping. It just doesn't appeal to me. But I can see, um, saying, hey, I don't want to use my Telegram for more than 1 hour today or whatever. And to me, I don't think that is an intrusion on how I use my Telegram. It's just that thing doesn't go to anyone really, but it's just between you kind of try to time management.
Yeah,
I
it's
don't
all on
mind having,
device.
but the sleep thing I find is quite interesting, because it'll tell you. Well, I've got the Samsung version, and that's slightly different, but it tells you the quality of your sleep and things. And I don't think that's in the well-being section, is it? I think there's just a sleep mode to stop your phone
No.
going off in the middle of the night and things like that.
Yeah, this
isn't it?
doesn't track your sleep. This just lets you set your sleep mode settings.
Yeah, I mean that I think sensible. I don't really want people ringing me up at midnight. So,
So the next item here is the
7 unlocks.
the unlocks. And
Yeah.
in my recording, I had unlocked my phone 37 times through the whole day. And the reason why is because for me, when I read articles, I shut off the screen. So
Oh, that's your
a lot
excuse.
of
Okay, I
those-
got it.
But I looked at
You-
that, I'm like,
you-
oh my
you know
gosh, 37 unlocks.
You know what my excuse is? I do it as a fidget thing. Like I'll put my fingerprint on the screen, let it unlock, lock it. Put my fingerprint. Like I'll just lock and unlock
Really?
my phone over and over again. Yeah, I do.
I would
Why?
like to
So my
hear how
numbers
many
are
unlocks you
way
got.
off. What?
I would like to know how many unlocks you got on your phone.
Well, not too many today because I was outside working. But if it was a regular day, I would have unlocked that thing so many
It's
times.
probably not a good idea to do that when you're on the roof.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
know.
exactly. No.
So I've got 7 unlocks today. So on my way to 37.
No, I think it'll be 50 today.
I don't know. I'll be busy editing the podcast. So I'm not going to have more than 10 unlocks today, or who knows. But
Oh,
yeah,
I think at least 20.
yeah, so that's another one. And for me, though, that comes with when I'm doing those reading articles, because I like to use the assistant and I don't need the screen on. I shut off my screen when I do.
So assistants read you. The assistant reads you the articles, does it?
It
And
does.
so you can
Yeah.
lock the. I didn't know you could do that.
You shut off the screen and just, sit back and listen. And the next item here is the
24. Notifications.
the notifications. You heard mine that I had 93 notifications and all of that. And so below that, you can just go ahead and
Ways to disconnect.
go to that. Ways to disconnect is the next item here. And this is the thing that we were talking about. For example,
Dashboard. No timer set.
that timer that we were talking about. You can set timers for, hey, I want to just only use Telegram for 1 hour today, or I want to use Facebook for 30 minutes today, for those of you that do. And, it's like John says, when it comes up and say that time is up, you can still extend your time if you wanted to, if you think you haven't had enough of your fill for that day. Maybe you need it more than what you anticipated that you are going to be bounding yourself to. Then you could just increase that time. I have that for my kids, especially, the teenage kids can be on that thing forever. So I set things like, hey, maybe only 2 hours a day. That's good enough, because you don't want too much. You're spending way, way too much time, especially during the school week. It can be detrimental.
Yeah. The good thing about the parental controls is you can't snooze them. When your time is up, your time is up.
So it'll just stop working, will it?
Yeah.
'Cause I've never tried.
Nothing would
So
work.
what happens if you try and use Telegram again, for example? If it's on Telegram, what happens?
No, so we're talking about it with this one of the time, setting times. You could change the time, but the one that John is mentioning is the one we're going to be coming down to. That's the parental control. So that one is a little different, unless you go in there and say, okay, I'm going to give you a little reward, and here I'm giving you 30 minutes more, or I'm giving you an hour more. You've been a good kid today, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But other than that, their phone becomes just a paperweight. So next,
Does it even show that? Does it even show the time or anything? And that, but that's it.
Yeah,
and that's about it.
It shows everything that's going on. Yeah.
No, I mean, once their time's up, does it just show them the time and nothing else or something? Is that?
No, it will warn them, letting them know that in X minutes your time is going to be up.
Yeah, but when it is, if they try and use it, what happens?
Nothing will happen.
I think you just won't be able to launch apps.
You won't be able to launch that app. Yeah.
For a pin or something.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. So that's what. Okay, I've never done that. Just in case anyone cares, so far today, I've done 8 unlocks. Which is one more than yesterday.
You're one more than me.
And it's a lot later in the day. That's what I did 7 yesterday.
That's
I
not
don't
bad.
really know why I would actually care about that, but still.
How many times you handle the phone, right?
Yeah, but the thing is, this is one of 3 phones I've got. So if I looked at all of them, no, I'm not. That's too scary. I'm not doing that.
The next item that we have here is that bedtime mode.
Bedtime mode. Tap to set up.
And so you could, by default, if you set this up and leave the defaults as I showed in the demonstration, it begins at 11 o'clock. But for me, though, I had mine set to 10 o'clock because sometimes I don't want to be bothering people I have a lot of calls. And so I set mine to kick in at 10 o'clock. How do you guys have bedtime mode, when it kicks in?
Yeah.
10 o'clock. But I wish it would make
10:30.
me some hot chocolate. That would be good.
Hot chocolate.
Right. Like if my phone could make me some tea or some hot chocolate at bedtime, I'd be pumped.
Yeah, and then make
And
coffee
then in the morning,
Exactly.
coffee, coffee in the morning, yeah. That'd be amazing.
It would be.
But no, it's other than that, it's quite good. It's quite good, that feature, because you don't get all these annoying calls in the middle of the night and stuff.
Yeah, and I like that you can specify like certain contacts to always let through, even if you're on bedtime mode, or you can set whether or not it lets repeat callers through. Like if somebody calls you like 3 times in a row, it'll start to ring. Yeah, so those are good features that you can turn on and off as well.
I
They are,
like it.
especially the both of those actually. But for example, if you know a family member's not well or something,
Mm-hmm.
and you need to be able, the hospital or the care home or their relatives need to be able to ring you even in the middle of the night, then that's really important.
So the next item here is that
Focus mode. Tap to set up.
that focus mode. And so I see this coming into play, most especially if you're at work. You want to give whoever is employing you their full time, right? You don't want to be checking your phone and doing all of that. And some people do that and get in trouble because here you can set, hey, from 9 a.m. till whatever, I'm in focus mode. And so you turn things off and things like that. Say, hey, I want to turn Telegram off. I don't want to get distracted by Telegram. I want to turn off Facebook. I don't want to be distracted by that. And so I see that focus mode as a good thing because it kind of takes your mind off all those distractions. What do you guys think about the focus mode?
I think it's good for things like church as well. Or I guess if you had to go and do some studying or something like that, or even just, I think there's a relax mode on mine anyway. You might want to be left in peace while you're reading a book, for example. I think it's a great thing. I think it's really good.
I agree. And most especially, when I go to church, what I do with mine is I turn it off or I leave the damn phone in the car. That's what I do.
Yeah, I'm so paranoid. Even if it's on Do Not Disturb, my screen's gonna light up. My screen is gonna start yelling or something. Like I'm just turn it completely off.
Phone used for 6 minutes.
Exactly.
I sometimes use it to get hymn numbers and things, on my braille display. Though, so yeah, I sometimes have it in there, but I make sure it's quiet volume or the speech is muted. Can I ask a question actually about the focus mode? Because I tend to do this in Bixby routines because it was just easier when I was doing it, frankly. So I know how to do it. So my church is far enough away that I can not have it. Like, if my church was next door to where I live and I set it to go on silent when I go into church, it'd be really annoying because it'd be silent in my home as well. But my church is far enough away that doesn't happen. So I can set it when I'm in a particular location to go on silent or do not disturb or whatever. Does this well-being thing let you do that via location as well? Because when I tried to do it a year or two ago, you lot told me I could do it, but I couldn't for the life of me work it out, so I just did it in Bixby instead.
So the focus mode is not the same. What you're talking about is a routine. The focus
Okay.
mode is something different. For instance, I set it per app. For example, I'm at work. I don't want to be bothered by anything coming from Telegram or Facebook or any notifications from YouTube. Hey, you got these new uploads that's there and things like that. So I want to be focused on what I'm doing. So that's a different thing. That will be routines that you're talking
But how does
about.
it know you're at work though? If you're not using your location as a clue, is it done by
No,
times?
it's based on the time, from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. That's my work time. I don't want Telegram telling me, John, send a message to Blind Android Users podcast or, Blind Android Users chat group and things like that.
I'd have to unblock you in order
Yeah,
for you to get a message from me.
he blocks me.
Thinking that.
I need to block him up in retaliation. He put my name out there, blocking me in the whole world for people to know that I got blocked.
Yeah, that's very funny.
That was priceless. But so that's different because you can choose the time that you want to be focused and all of that. And so it comes in handy in that perspective.
You said you can do it by app. So if I want to read a book, I open Kindle or Audible. And if I've opened Audible or Kindle, then I don't want any other like YouTube and stuff. Would that work as well? Would that, or is that again a separate thing? Is that a routine as well?
Setup.
Or is that a
So
focus thing?
here's what I'm talking about. So if I go into
Focus mode. Tap to set up.
focus mode here,
Focus mode.
and if I scroll down, I have apps.
Boss Rev. Check box.
See,
Home. Check box. Not check.
that's my Google Home.
YouTube. Check box.
So if I
not
check YouTube,
Fair
Yeah.
mail. Check box. Not check.
and so
Showing items 11.
that means that I want to set some time limit, or have a focus mode, because I don't want YouTube to come in and disturb me while I'm focusing on what I'm doing. So once I do
so
that,
you're blocking the app while you're in the focus
Yes,
mode, rather than
exactly.
saying, when I open this app, do this.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's the other way around. Okay.
But you
exactly.
could set, I know what you were asking, and that you could technically set a routine to turn on focus mode. So when I'm in Amazon, I don't want to hear from, or when I'm in Kindle, I don't want to hear from Telegram and Facebook. So you should set a routine to turn on. I know
Turn
you
on
can with Bixby,
A
but I
work
don't know.
mode or a
Yeah,
relax mode
Focus.
or
Yeah,
something.
exactly.
So you could kind of use the two
Together.
routines and the focus mode together, complementary of each other.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's probably what I
And
would
so
do. But the bedtime one's really good.
once you've selected an app and you come back, now I'm back to this screen, then you have
Focus mode. Off.
it says it's off. So if I tap here to turn it on, that YouTube that I checked on there would now take effect, and it will take me to where I could choose the time. When does this begin? When I don't want YouTube to be bothering me.
Okay.
Yeah. So next we got the
Reduce interruptions. Heading.
reduce interruptions, and these are things like, hey, I'm getting so many notifications from XYZ. I want to reduce those.
Manage notifications.
And here's where you go in to manage those notifications and things like that. And I think the next item that we're going to look at before we move on next,
Do not disturb.
we have the do not disturb that we've talked about.
Flip to shish. On.
And you got, flip to shish. Like if I'm doing something and John is calling me, I'll just flip that phone over and say, John, shish.
Shush, John, you blocked me on Telegram. Yeah.
If you want to talk to me, send me a message on Telegram.
I need to get back at him somehow, right?
Yeah.
So the interruptions thing is that, for example, you could say, I don't want interruptions from Facebook or something. Isn't that similar to what you were talking about with YouTube and stuff before that?
I feel like it might be like, I haven't actually done it myself, but I think it might be like limit the amount of notifications. Like, don't give me a notification from this app, but maybe once an hour or something. That's my guess.
Exactly. Well, that's how it works. And I don't even want to hear any notifications from it. And so you manage that, maybe only give me 2 a day or whatever, things like that.
Because it said limit interruptions.
Yeah.
So you would just get all your Facebook
you get
notifications
some,
at once. Yeah.
Yeah, you get some, but not too many. Yeah, that's quite good.
Because I had 93, so I could go in there and say, hey, I only want 5 notifications. All right.
Wait, what gave you 93 notifications?
Different apps.
Was it the amount of people who had blocked you on Telegram?
No. It's not just Telegram.
I know you don't get notified of
that I know. So I get all those notifications, and doggone, 93 notifications a day. That's a lot of notifications.
Yeah, that's crazy.
The next item here is the
heads up. Tap to set up.
The heads up, and particularly, for sighted people, because you find a lot of people, will be walking down the street and looking at their phone. I find it to be annoying, if you know what I mean.
Because they bump right into you, don't they?
Exactly. Why I put this thing in the pocket? So see, this is why digital well-being needs to be in place, because you can't put that thing down.
Either put it in your pocket or slow down. Don't walk so fast while you're looking at it. Because if you're looking at a map or something, but I think for me, if I was going to do that, I think I'd probably stop or stand to the side. But some people are very silly.
Oh, so I fall in that silly category. I totally use my phone while I'm walking all the time.
Oh no, Cam, don't tell me you do.
I do.
What, for
I
maths
think
or what? What
blind
for?
people get a pass on that because we can't see anyway. Like,
Yeah.
Exactly. That is true.
I'm just better at multitasking. Like most people are using their phone and they just zone right out into that.
Yeah.
Like I've seen people get hit by cars reading a book while they're walking down the street.
Yeah, why
What?
do that?
But
Wow.
it's
Why
like
do that?
I'm sitting there going, is it really hard to pay attention with like where you're going and what you're doing at the same time? It's like it's not that hard to do. But so many people can't do it.
Yeah, so see, for me, when I'm on the street, my phone is in my pocket. You don't see me interacting with my phone while I'm walking around town.
My phone is in my pocket, but I might be using something like Lazarillo.
Yeah, well, so you're,
Um,
you're using a guidance navigation in that aspect, though, but you're not interacting with your phone and looking at who's sending you messages. I don't do that while I'm walking.
might not have done that, but I don't like if it's busy and crowded and there's loads of people, or if I'm walking along a railway platform or something, then no, because that's dangerous.
Exactly my point. The last item here before we move on will be that parental
Controls. You set up family link parental controls for one child or teen in your family group.
So that's the one. I have one kid that's on that parental control. So at 10 o'clock, phone is dead because, teenagers like to be texting at night and can't sleep, and in the mornings all tired and all of that. So those are the kind of things that we've talked about earlier. And especially you could limit their phone use, maybe 6 hours a day or whatever. Instagram can only be used for 2 hours or 1 hour or 30 minutes or whatever time you want, and things like that. And if you have multiple kids, you can, at the bottom here,
set up parental controls for another child button.
You could tap there to set up another parental control for another kid. And that's what those parental controls are.
So do they let you, obviously you wouldn't want to have it on the podcast, but do they let you give the child's actual name in the app so that you don't get confused with whose you're changing if they're different ages, for example?
Yes, it has
They
my
do.
kids'
It does
names
that.
in there, yeah.
Yeah.
And you can manage those kids. You can extend their time. For example, bedtime mode. Like, for example, I set it up to, okay, Sunday nights through, you can choose different days, how long you want them to be on there. And then, Friday nights, there's no restrictions. Saturday, no restriction. And so you set whatever you want, or set this day I want you to go to bed at so and so a time and things like that. But usually you just kind of keep a nice routine, so it's not a surprise. Sometimes I forgot that like we just had a Martin Luther King Day last Monday, and my daughter had to remind me, hey, this Sunday, I need to be off this because there's no school Monday. I'm like, oh yeah. So in that case, I took it off for that day, and then come back next week.
Is there a holiday mode as well? Like if they're on school holidays where you can give them a bit more freedom and then have the routines back again when they're back at school, or do they not have that?
No, so you have to, like I just said,
Or do you just turn it off for those days?
Exactly. But you are correct. It would be nice to have a feature that it will auto detect. But yet, it depends on the parent, because then you are overruling what the parent wants. Supposing that parent still wants
No,
their
but the
kid to go to
parent could
bed.
say, I mean, on my heating at home, there is a mode called holiday that I can turn on. If I'm away, then I don't need the heating on. So you could have a mode that the parent could turn on called holiday, where they're basically unrestricted if you wanted. That's all I was wondering, if they did that, because that'd be quite. But yeah, I still think it should be up to the parent, not because
Exactly.
probably different counties and different states and things all have different holidays anyway. So I don't think you could do that. I think you'd have to leave
That
it
is
up to the
true.
parent.
Yes.
Because even in this country, we've got two counties next door to each other. And I know her one child goes to school in the one county and the other one in the next door county. and they've got holidays in February. One's off one week and the other one's off the next week. So you couldn't have, you'd have to have it so the parent could change it, not but a holiday mode would be good. You could turn off the restrictions if it's holiday mode, if you wanted, or you could say when it's holiday mode, only have these dates, this thing, or that would be quite a nice feature for Google to do, I think. But for your parental mode, you have to connect to their phone, presumably somehow, or their account. How does that work?
So you add them to your account. So it's like what we call a family link. That's the
Yeah.
app. And also, you can share your apps with them, if you wanted to. So they get to enjoy your paid apps if you wanted them to, and things like that. But it also lets you know what kind of apps that they're installing. If they're not apps that you don't approve of, then you can say, no, kick that baby out, so things like that.
And can you see what websites they go on and stuff if you want
Yeah,
to as
yeah,
well?
yeah,
Yeah.
you can. Yeah, so the whole idea is to keep your kids safe, because kids are very gullible. People tell them things and they want to try this, and it's just a nightmare.
And can you choose which of your apps you want them to, like, can you say, okay, I want to share this app, but not that one? Like, for example, if you did, I know you don't, but if you did gambling, you wouldn't want your kids to.
No, yeah. You can choose what apps you want to share and which apps you don't want to share. And that's a good
That's
thing.
good.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah,
good
because
thing.
I just wondered, because I don't have children, so I don't know, I've just got my own phone. I'm not linked. Mine isn't linked to anybody else, so it's interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you can have it turned on so that it has to confirm every app they download. So like they can't go and download any app without it first sending you a notification saying, "Are you okay with them downloading this app?"
And you
That's
can
good.
say yes, and then they'll be able to install it. And so they wouldn't be able to do things like side loading and things like that. So
Yeah.
it's a very good feature.
Yeah, sounds it.
Yeah.